The pit stop is vital to every race team's success. Pull off the track, let your team go to work. Change all 4 tires, fill the fuel cell, and make needed adjustments, all in 8 seconds or less.
Hey, have you ever wanted to own a race car team? Have you ever wanted to figure out how to fund it? How do you get sponsorship for racing? We're going to talk about those topics today on The Pits Are Open, presented by Speed Sport and Redline Ace. Your host, Will Marotti, Alex Smith, our multi-talented, highly well-dressed engineer and producer. Come on, Alex. We got to see that. We got to see. Look at this. I made fun of this morning. He's got the pinstripes on today. I thought I was going to a Godfather concert or something. Hey, I don't want to make any excuses here, but you look pretty good today. Anyway, how you doing? If you're watching on any platform, thank you so much. Like, comment, share. And again, we're trying to get the replacement new YouTube channel up. The new YouTube channel is the Pits Are Open Podcast is the official name of that channel. If you're on the old YouTube channel, the Pits Are Open, please, would you consider going over and subscribing to the new channel? If you're on Facebook, we appreciate you so much because most of our viewers are on Facebook. We would appreciate so much if you would consider switching over to YouTube, the Pits Are Open Podcast on that channel. Also, go to our website, thepitsareopen.com. At the top of that, you'll see a spot to check in for our sign up for our newsletter. Listen, it's once a week. We don't bombard you with stuff. Gives you some current racing news and also a preview every week of what's happening on the Pits Are Open. So let's see. Formula One. There was a little bit of a mishap, Mr. Alex, in Formula One this week. Holy cow.
A little bit.
I mean, what are they doing over there?
Well,
acting childish at best.
It's Max Verstappen.
Yeah.
What do you expect?
Actually, I was quite surprised.
Really?
Just because, it seems so. Listen, I know he's a little difficult at times, but that was provocative. That wasn't like.
Yeah. Well, at the end of the race, there was a safety car. Kimi Antonelli had an engine issue.
Yeah.
And there was less than 10 laps to go before, I think like 6 or 7 laps to go when they released the safety car, and everyone came in for new tires. Max had already went through 3 pit stops. This was his 4th pit stop.
Oh my gosh.
And they didn't have any other tires, so they put him on hards. So he was already,
so that put him out of control.
Yeah, I looked at it and I'm thinking, what are they doing?
Yeah.
And then, of course, after the safety car restart, he comes around the turn for the straight and almost loses it. Caught it, expertly recovered the car. And then going down the straight, Leclerc breezes past him. They had a little tap. He was already upset about that. And then George Russell comes alongside, I think, turn 3.
Yeah.
And pushes him off. And his team advised him to give the spot back because he went off track, came back ahead of George, and they advised him to give the spot back. And when he did, I guess halfway through making that decision to let George Russell by, he just decided, no, I'm gonna keep going, and slammed right into the side of Russell.
Wow.
Fortunately, no one got hurt.
Yeah, no.
He got a 10-second time penalty. He dropped from 5th to 10th because of the cars were bunched up from the safety car.
It's so funny how the mighty have fallen. After Hamilton's run, it looked like Max was the next king of the hill for whenever, and it was short-lived, seemingly.
We still have time for this year. We run till December, so a lot can change till then. I'm hoping if Ferrari can get their communication back together and Williams and Alpine are looking pretty good, we could have a really competitive mid to end season, and that's what we want.
Well, everybody wants a good competitive season. I've got a bone to pick though with Will Buxton, who does the IndyCar broadcasting with Townsend Bell and Hinchcliffe. This is supposedly his dream job. He loves doing this, loves IndyCar. Well, start using IndyCar terminology, Will. He calls the pace car. We don't have a safety car. We have a pace car. That's what we have. And we've always had a pace car, long before Formula One had a safety car. And now Will constantly calls it the safety car. And I'm like, if you keep doing that, I'm going to start sending you very threatening emails because you need to start talking like an IndyCar fan, not like you're a Formula One fan, since you say you love IndyCar so much. Anyway, okay, I'm done.
We have pit cars too that'll go pick up the drivers.
Yeah,
one of them at some of the races is actually the same model car I have.
Oh, really? Oh, well.
That may have played a small part in why I wanted that car.
Well, I like Alphas anyway. You know what I want, but
yeah,
what I want, what I'm going to get, are always distance apart.
You never know. Maybe a viewer out there wants to give you a new car. That
would be wonderful. That'd be great. I can't say enough for Speed Sport. Thank you so much, Joe Tripp and Ralph Shaheen. Thank you for partnering with us, allowing us to graciously use any content we choose. Thank you so much for that. And then Redline Ace, right in Speedway, Indiana, does a lot of work for other teams. IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, does a lot of work for us. We're so grateful for Redline Ace. And it's good to have friends. It's good to have partners. Speaking of friends, I met our first guest a number of years ago. It's probably shorter than it seems because I feel like I've known him for like years, but it's probably just been a few years that we met. And he has got quite a resume and is doing some really great work right now. So let's welcome for the first time to the Pits Are Open. Let's welcome Reid Mobley. Reid, welcome.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good to see you, brother.
Thank you, sir. How are you?
I am better than I deserve. Things are going good. I'm really excited. Got some good stuff going on, and so it's never dull. I'll say that it's never dull. I got to tell you, when I first met you, I was so impressed with the fact, and I remember asking you about this. You worked for the New York Yankees for a while, George Steinbrenner. I mean, and I asked her, how is it that you left baseball? I mean, not that it's bad, but I love baseball and I love motorsports. I said, how is it that you left the Yankees to go into motorsports? I mean, I couldn't understand it, but you worked for Roush Fenway, right? Also,
yep.
You worked for some. You also work for, and I'm happy and sad about this. I love that SRX series that came out.
Yeah.
I went to the first race ever at Stafford Springs in Connecticut.
Yep.
And of course, it was short-lived, and I don't need to know what the details of why they didn't carry it on, Ray Abraham and company. But anyway, you were in the beginning days of SRX, right?
Yep. I was very fortunate to join Ray and the team right at the end of the first season.
Mm-hmm.
It was short-lived. There's no doubt, but that's a part of my career path that I'm very, very fortunate to have gone through. So Zero regrets, and Ray and I still laugh because I tell him if he asked me to do it again, I'd still go do it with him again. So.
Yeah. Have you heard anything about the IROC thing? Ray bought the rights to the IROC series, the old International Race Champion. Is there anything going on with that? I would love to see that reconstituted.
I think I would be best served to defer to him to answer that question. I will say I have intentionally kept my asks on that subject to a minimum.
Okay.
Because for me personally, I want to be a fan just like everybody else does. And what they did last year and what they're doing this year at Laguna Seca, count me as one that enjoys being a fan of it too.
Good. Yeah, I mean that was the pinnacle, I think, of that all-star racing kind of format. I mean, and going from Porsches to Camaros, and it was so cool. So now, Reid, you are the founder and CEO of Momentum Sports. Talk to us about that. What is Momentum Sports all about?
Yeah. I got onto the agency side of the industry about, coming up on 3 years ago, and really, honestly, just fell in love with the dynamic of it. And I'll be completely honest and transparent. It took me a handful of years to find the guts to find my own niche and branch out. And finally, I had the guts to go do it. And when we launched Momentum about, coming up on 6 months now, really felt like there was a void in the industry to really do things the way that we wanted to do them. Mm-hmm. And have been very blessed to have some great partners already on board that helped us launch this in January. And
you have momentum yet?
What's that?
Do you have momentum yet?
We got a little bit. Although I got to be honest, I had my meeting with my tax accountant this morning, and she took the momentum out of my sales. So I'm learning. I'm learning you don't get to count your chickens before they hatch. No, it's to me, I wanted to build something at this point in my career where, we could have some fun. The people that have, entrusted me, in our firm with joining and being a part of it could enjoy doing what they're doing, could have some fun, support their families, have some success. And maybe if we're lucky, make our mark on the sport. So.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to something, but I want just a quick story. So we knew, I knew you were going to Indy. I was going to Indy, and we said we're going to connect at some point. Was it Carb Day? I forget what day it was.
It was, yeah. I think it was. Yeah, it was Friday.
I reached out, and you had a meeting, or you were waiting for clients. And so we ended up, it was such a great meeting. We ended up meeting under the gasoline alley sign at Indianapolis Motor. And we stood there, like, I feel like 20 minutes. We were just sitting there standing talking. And it was like, I'm looking around thinking, how cool is this? We're at Indianapolis, we're in Gasoline Alley, and we're just talking about racing. I mean, it was so cool. I really appreciate you taking the time. It was
it was the best 20 minutes of my day, Will. Come on.
Good. So here's my question. I just thought of this a little while ago. You have worked within their realm, within their fields. You've worked for the two top behemoth giants, the New York Yankees and Penske.
Mm-hmm.
Similarities, differences?
Oh yeah, I mean, lots of similarities.
Yeah, lots of similarities.
Oh yeah, I think there's probably not the right words to really express how fortunate I feel like I have been. My wife hears me say it all the time. I think I got my dream job when I was 25. I don't, from 25 on, I've just kind of been rolling the dice every day.
Mm-hmm.
When I got the job to go to NASCAR at 25, that was it. Dream job forever. Obviously that changes, but you talk about working for, the Penske organization, the Steinbrenner family, the Yankees organization. It is easy for the right people, I'll say. I don't know if I am the right person or the type of person or not, but the I's dotted, T's crossed expectation.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Did you realize at the time how big it was, Reid?
No, I don't think I do now.
Really?
It is very much a fraternity, as silly as that, cliche sounds,
Mm-hmm.
but, I still keep in touch with a lot of folks at the Yankees. I still send, there's a handful of them still on the email list every opening day that,
Mm-hmm.
I shoot an email out to wish them good luck. And, there's a lot of great people there and a lot of awesome memories. For me, New York just wasn't my forever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that, I had the seasons there that I did. I learned, more than I could have ever imagined. Touch a lot personally, touch a lot professionally.
Sure.
And if I could do it over again, I'd do it 10 times over. But, that I's dotted, T's crossed mentality that it requires at both of those organizations. I love that. People would always ask me, what is it like when Mr. Penske is, in the building? And I would say, it's no different.
Yeah.
Your expectation is to be buttoned up, whether Roger's in the building or not. That's the way he runs his business. And if you're a small part of that, you should hold yourself to that exact same standard.
Right.
And I love that. So,
I know we talked about, you and I talked about this several years ago, that
Sure.
when you're working with sponsors and sponsorship deals and things, a Penske portfolio is not a light thing to carry around. I mean, when you can open that book and you can offer what you can offer out of a Penske portfolio,
mm-hmm.
It's got to be similar to the Yankees, but probably even greater with Penske, I would think, right? I mean, it's...
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it is truly amazing to really learn the stories of what Roger has built, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you look at Penske Truck Leasing that started with 300 trucks, and now you're probably over 400,000 trucks. I do, very much enjoy dispelling the rumor that everybody thinks it's kind of quid pro quo. And, that's just not how, Roger operates the business. And, I, for one, took a lot of pride in, building those relationships and those partnerships that, are still there, right? Even though I don't go into those four walls anymore, up here in Mooresville. A lot of the partners that we brought in are still there and are still seeing success. And, for me, that's leaving the sport just a little bit better than when I got there. Right. And that feels good. So you don't often get the chance to leave a long lasting mark on things. And those make you feel pretty good when you can put your head on the pillow every night and know you did a good deal. It's still there.
Yeah, for sure. So you're in a similar space, not NASCAR, IndyCar, and you're working with a relatively, compared to Penske, Andretti, Ganassi, you're working with a relatively young team. But at the same time, they've matured. It seems to me that they've matured a lot in the last couple of seasons. Yeah. So tell us about your latest venture and Momentum is representing at this point.
Sure.
In IndyCar. Go ahead.
No, we're very excited to work alongside the folks at JHR. What Ricardo and Brad continue to build is something that I felt like really was a great fit for our platform, for our portfolio.
So the folks that aren't that understanding with the Uncos Hollinger is the team.
And they brought on some phenomenal additional leadership. With Dave O'Neill coming over from the Formula One world, with Steve Sudler coming over from the Ferrari world. We are very fortunate to just play a very small role, in that to help them continue to build. And honestly, that's what sold us on wanting to be a partner with them, is the 5-year plan that Ricardo and Brad have, with Dave's leadership to really take this team, to the next level. And having, phenomenal drivers like Connor and Stingray to champion that effort moving forward. It gives us a lot to be proud of.
Sure.
When we've got, a tent full of potential partners, at St. Pete or Long Beach or IndyCar, or Indianapolis, that's something that I don't know if the team had really seen before. And for me, I'll steal this from Ray. He asked me to join SRX because we wanted to build something, and that's a word that I've really fallen in love with. And what Brad and Ricardo are building is a lot of fun. So
that's why I say I think the last 2 years, particularly, they've matured. I know Ricardo. Have met with Ricardo several times, and I know he's been through his ups and downs. Incredible story. I mean, talk about American success story, and probably as good as an engineer as anybody on the paddock. I mean, Ricardo is brilliant when it comes to car setup, and he had to leave that. He had to walk away from that to a much greater degree to try to be a successful owner. But I think when Brad Hollinger showed up, the things really started to percolate over there, and that's why I say the last 2 years. I mean, wow. Night and day for the organization, the performance, and we all love Connor Daly. I mean, oh my gosh,
what's not to love,
right?
We were really loving him with about 25 to go on Sunday at Indianapolis. But when we look at a weekend like we had at Indy, it's nice to be disappointed.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the way of sitting there with 50 to go. And that feeling you get when you're saying, hey, we got a shot. That feels great, right? Yeah. That's the first box. You got to build a car that can have that chance. And then Connor's got to put himself there. And he certainly did that. Does the team have a lot of learnings coming out of that? No doubt. But nobody's going to say that's anything but progress, right? And I'll give Dave a lot of credit, on our call a couple of days later. He said, I want to be disappointed with top fives. That is a fantastic team to be a part of, and we're excited about it. So.
No, I think the future looks bright. I mean, I don't care what the scenarios. Whenever you get a chance to lead the Indy 500, I mean that's and you get to be in the top 5 at any given moment. I mean that's huge. And I think a lot of people thought over on another side. I think a lot of people thought Ryan Hunter-Reay maybe was going to get a second win. He was running strong, and then he's out. So that's the way the race goes. And I was talking with a racing journalist on last week, and Tony said, and we've all heard this. We all believe it to a degree that the track is like a living organism, and it picks who it wants to win. You got to be in the right place at the right time. And so Connor's a lot of fun. I think Stingray does a great job. yeah, it's just a good combination right now. They got good drivers, good team, good owners, good engineers, good everybody. So it's how about they ended up dropping last year Indy Next. Any talk of that coming back, or is that not part of the 5-year plan?
I'm going to let Dave and Ricardo and Brad comment on that one. I think all I would vaguely say is we're excited about the growth opportunity. Okay. And we're excited about the opportunity to bring new partners into this space, and get them into the black and green, and really show them, how we want to, grow the team and grow the sport. So nobody is more committed to helping grow that team and grow that sport than those two gentlemen that have their names on the side of the building. Yeah. And they put it with their time and their resources. Mm-hmm. And for me, it makes it very easy to work with and for gentlemen who you can't outwork. Yeah. You can try, but there's nobody can outwork Ricardo Juncos or Brett Ollinger. There's just not. And that makes a lot of fun.
Another thing I like about the team is they're right there in Speedway. There's only a handful of teams in the area. But there's only, 3? I mean, Foyt's got a shop there. Juncos is there. Abel's there. Abel's right across the street kind of from Juncos. Yep. So, I respect those guys because they're right in the heart of it. Of course, you got a lot of shops on the perimeter in Brownsburg and Zionsville and different places. But it's great to have Juncos right there. And a beautiful shop, too. I mean, state-of-the-art facility that Juncos has.
And it's fun when you bring folks who haven't ever been into a racing world before, kind of through those double doors, and they walk into Garage Mahal, and usually they're picking the jaw up off the floor.
Yeah,
so,
it is impressive. First time I got a tour of the Juncos building, I was like, holy cow, this is.
Well, we tell folks, you can tell how a race team is going to operate by one thing, and that's how clean is the shop floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if your shop floor is clean, that means you fix the $5 part before it breaks.
Right.
So.
And I always judge restaurants by their bathrooms.
Well, it's the little details in racing that matter, right?
So. All right. So listen, now with the few minutes we have left here.
Yeah.
So talk to young drivers. Yeah. Talk to small teams, maybe baby Juncos teams.
Sure.
What should they look out for? Like if they're going to start trying to approach sponsors, what do the sponsors want? What would they look for a small team, younger drivers? What are the kinds of things they should be on the lookout for?
It's a great question. And I tell some of the younger, more junior folks that we talk to or we work with, their individual story is so much more impactful and powerful coming from them than it ever would be coming from somebody like myself. Mm-hmm. It is just the absolute honest truth. Now, can we help and assist in that conversation as it moves forward? There's no doubt. But I look at sponsorship sales, as a thing right now that, there's not a lot of folks that really love doing it. And I'm not sure why, but it is kind of the only thing that I love doing and the only thing I'm decent at. But
I don't know. Come on, I
decent may be a stretch, is what you're saying. I get it.
No, I'm saying you're better than that in a lot of things.
It's a passion for me because I've never wanted to be a race car driver. I've just fallen in love with the business of it, and for those younger teams, younger drivers, it's tough. There's no doubt. When you're a dime a dozen, or there's 100 others that could take the chance or have the shot. I mean, it's tough. But
so, that's where you really have to be able to try to differentiate yourself. I mean, not to make fun of it. And his dad has told me, the stories are plentiful. Where did he get his name? His dad told me what I think is the real story. I'm not going to go into it. But Stingray, just having a different name, Stingray, it kind of catches people's attention. So it makes you stand out, right? So what are some things that small teams, young drivers can do to differentiate themselves from the dime a dozen group that's running out there?
To me, I look at the landscape right now and what I judge my own staff on. I mean, it's effort. That was one of the big catalysts of why we launched Momentum was we had an opportunity to fix the bandwidth problem. And it is a strategic shotgun approach. But again, our focus is just talking to as many people who want to talk about motorsports and want to talk to this demographic. So I don't think we've really, found a silver bullet or have the secret sauce, because I don't think that exists.
Right. I agree.
But I really do think that there genuinely are people out there in influential marketing and leadership positions who love this industry, right?
Yeah,
if I wasn't a believer in motorsports, it would be a little silly for me to make the business in it. And I think that from NASCAR, IndyCar, all the way down to grassroots, there's people who still love this industry and want to support that industry. So, I tell those younger, up and coming, starting teams, it's tough. Just be prepared that it's tough. But there's wins out there. And I think you celebrate the win if it's $1 million check, and you celebrate the win if somebody answers your email.
Yeah, I agree.
You got to celebrate the small wins, because you never know when the next one's going to come.
So I know just talking with you, a lot of your stuff is proprietary, which makes you such a unique company. Sure. And I wish I could steal you, but can you talk about any of what you do without
sure.
breaking?
We've got a couple different partner systems that we use, but again, for us, the biggest opportunity was really trying to fix the bandwidth problem. There's only so much individual outreach that I can do, right? And I think I shared with you when we were sitting, on pit lane in Indy, my best year at Penske was 2019 from an outreach standpoint, and it also happened to be the highest revenue year that we did from a sponsorship standpoint. There's no doubt that there's a correlation, but even using that as the benchmark, we were still falling significantly short of where we wanted to be as a team and where I wanted to be personally. So there's no doubt that there's some incremental technologies that can fix that bandwidth problem. And we've leaned very, very heavily into those. To your point, some of those, are a little more exclusive to us, which is great. But for me, I don't know if we're doing anything special, anything different.
You are.
We just want to, we tried to curate a portfolio where that if a brand wanted to talk to this demographic, we had an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if all we have would be JHR, we lose out on those other conversations. If somebody isn't the right fit for IndyCar, but they're the right fit for NASCAR, and or vice versa, or grassroots things. Right. So I tell people, best part about my job is I just get to talk about racing all day long. And
so let me say this to kind of help folks understand. I'm watching and interesting. I mean, you are exclusive to Uncos Hollinger, so you're not
absolutely
right. But you will look at other series, like if somebody from IMSA wanted to talk to you.
Oh no, we're very proud. We've got a wonderful relationship with Hayek Motorsports on the NASCAR side, and a really, really strong relationship with John Church and the JDC Miller folks on the IMSA side. So for us. I very much am the one that writes the word exclusive in those contracts, because to me, our garage and our paddock they're very small. And when somebody provides us the resources to work hard for them, and I want them to know that they've got my loyalty and they've got my exclusivity as well. So there's no doubt, we lose deals because of that, right? Yeah. If somebody would like to go do something else, I'm happy to assist, but that's not what we focus on. So we've got a truly are blessed with just great partners across the motorsports platform here in North America. And, when you asked me on Friday in Indy how things are going, and I told you, better than I expected, I expected it to go like this because I knew we were on to something. But I really do, I count my blessings every day that we've got a wonderful team, great partners. And, thankfully 5 months into this, we're finding some success sponsorship wise. And, I'm looking forward to our first real budget season. We can put some big wins on the board for our partners.
Good. Well, listen, people want to find out about Momentum website. Is there a website?
Sure. Yeah. MomentumSports.com. Again, we're it's pretty simple. But this is our focus. We're aiming to be, hopefully the most successful sponsorship group in North American motorsports.
Good.
So,
hey, Reid, I appreciate it. You're a good friend. I love talking to you. You got a lot of wisdom to share. Keep up the good work, and I'll bump into you at a racetrack somewhere in your neighborhood, I guess. I don't know.
I look forward to it very soon, my friend. Thank you.
Thanks, Reid. Have a good day.
See y'all.
Mobley, everybody. Thank you. All right. We're going to take a quick break. I think we've got something from Speed Sport we want to share. And then we are coming back with an IndyCar team owner, Don Cusick. You will not want to miss this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Speed Sport 1 is the place for America's grassroots racing. From sprint cars to stock cars, it's on your new home for racing action. Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we'll have the now 600 micro sprints from US 24 Speedway. Thursday night at 6, we'll have 360 sprint cars from Placerville. Friday night, it's IMCA stock cars and modifieds from Boone Speedway. It's grassroots racing at its best. It's Speed Sport 1. Go to speedsport1.com for details and viewing options.
Speed Sport 1 on all of if you have a smart TV, chances are good you can get Speed Sport 1 on Amazon Prime, on Hulu, on Tubi. I don't know. There's so many of them, but they're available. Speed Sport 1 available on a lot of those channels, and that's where you find it, and it's wonderful, and we hope to be joining that someday. So it's getting harder. It's getting harder to get into professional motorsports, partially because of the dollars required, and there's a lot of dollars required. But it's also getting harder because, at least in IndyCar, and that's the space that we're most familiar with, there's less seats at the table. And so IndyCar had threatened for some time and now hasn't instituted a charter system. I'm not a fan, quite frankly, but I understand why they want to do it. I don't think it's going to have the result that they're intending. But because of the charter system, it makes it harder. It makes it harder to find a seat at the IndyCar table. And so over the years, I'm very observant. I watch what's going on. I like to find out how people are doing things. And I never told him this, but I've had three heroes over the last, going back a few years, but in more recent history, I've got three heroes in motorsports that I kind of want to pattern myself and pattern what we're doing after. And our next guest is certainly one of those three. He's the co-founder of Cusick Motorsports, and he's done a fantastic job fielding cars at the Indianapolis 500. He's also had a background in IMSA racing. And I am so pleased to welcome Don Cusick to the program. Don, welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
Good. Thank you. I never told you were one of my heroes, but you are. and here's why. Because you're doing something that a lot of people would want to do but haven't figured it out yet. And I want to read something from your website, if I may, just to kind of let people know what I'm talking about. Cusick Motorsports, founded in 2021 by entrepreneur Don Cusick, was created to make the racing industry accessible to all. Cusick Motorsports creates bespoke programs for our partners and creates unforgettable experiences that help drive the business. And this is what you do. And I've been fascinated ever since you came into the sport. Talk to us a little bit. First of all, what's your background? I mean, your background I don't think was in motorsports, but I mean, you had another company. What's your background, Don?
Yeah, well, I started off as a young man out of high school doing aircraft interiors, small corporate jets, things like that.
Okay.
I learned how to sew. I actually dated a girl that worked in a radiology department at a local hospital and started repairing their lead aprons that fell apart. And
okay.
that bred a whole new business and started actually manufacturing medical radiation protection products in 1980, I think.
So when I go to the dentist and they drape the covering over me when they're going to that's that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's one of the products. Yeah, okay. We got really lucky because the non-interventional cardiology industry really started to develop when we were a young company.
Mm-hmm.
And we used a lot of lead vinyl for soundproofing in aircraft,
mm-hmm.
prop aircraft. And it turns out that the lightweight lead vinyl we used for that actually worked really well for radiation protection. So we just kind of refined a 50-year-old product and built a company and eventually sold that in April of 2020. But as far as racing goes, my dad took me to the 1964 Winter Nationals in Pomona, drag racing.
Yeah.
When they were trying to break 7 seconds, and Tony Nancy and Tom McEwen and all those guys were Don Perdome. I just saw Don Perdome, by the way, at the Marriott in Indy.
He was in Indianapolis. I know.
Yeah. I hung out with him a little bit and
Sure.
told him he was my hero. But that's kind of how the bug bit me. And then we raced quarter midgets, and then modified midgets and dirt bikes. So I've always loved racing. I've always loved IndyCar racing. Ever since the front engine roadster Offenhauser days. So, I always wanted to be an IndyCar driver when all my other friends wanted to be firemen and policemen. But, that lack of money and talent intersected when I was about 19 years old. And so I never got to do it.
Yeah.
But, it's been a lot of fun. We definitely are enjoying our involvement now.
So has it been 500s that you've been in now? And you have the good fortune of partnering with Dreyer Reinbold, Dennis Reinbold, who's just a fabulous person. I love Dennis.
Great.
But what you're doing is so unique, though. You're bringing partners, you're bringing sponsors, but I think the unique part is how you're taking care of them. I mean, the people that you work with just like rave about the experience.
Yeah.
So if you don't have to break any trade secrets, can you tell us a little bit about how you're orchestrating all this?
I mean, I guess it's just the basic, tenets and business rules that we have when I have the medical manufacturing company. We're just trying to take care of people and always give them the best experience they can have. And it's pretty easy to do at the 500. I mean, I just remember my first moment when I walked onto those grounds and gave me goosebumps, and it still does every time. It's just an amazing place.
Why do you suppose that is? Because I'm the same way, Don. I first time I walked on the grounds, 1982. I thought I died. I went to heaven. Still, I drive in. I'm like a little kid. It transports me to my youth. I mean, it's ridiculous. Why? Everybody feels that way. Why does it have that effect, you suppose?
I don't know. It's just a magical place. I guess I would equate it to like if you were taking somebody to play golf for the first time, you took them to Pebble Beach and walked up those fairways. It's just magnificent. I don't know how else to explain it. There's just something about it, right? And you can almost feel the history, and I don't know. For me, it's a special place. Every year I go, I discover something else, and I just love sharing it. So I think that's part of it, and so does my team. They immerse themselves in it. They love every bit of it. They like to show it off. So I guess that's kind of mostly what it's all about. It's just easy to give people a amazing experience there.
I mean, I have to be honest with you. I was rooting for a different driver for this year, but I love Ryan Hunter-Reay, and I've always loved, since his Indy Lights days, Jack Harvey.
Two great guys.
So you had both of them lead at one point, or no, right? And we were up in the Home and Terrace Club saying, this is unbelievable. Ryan's going to get his second 500. Yeah. We were so excited. How did that go for you guys?
Oh my God. I think the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. I suspect I'll always look at that one as the one that got away. I mean, that was our race. We're in control, and a stupid miscalculation, really. I mean, 0.7 of a gallon of fuel, and then the damn thing vapor locked and wouldn't refire.
Right.
I mean, you can look at it a bunch of different ways. A backup tub rebuilt. I mean, 24, 30 hours before that race, that thing was in 100 bits and pieces.
Right.
They fired it up, I think, at 2 a.m. Saturday morning so they could do the install laps at 8 a.m. And then they go out. I mean, it was the perfect storm.
It was a Herculean feat that you got that car back together on the track, and it's leading the Indy 500. I mean,
with 30 laps to go.
With 30 laps to go. And it was so sad because we literally, where we were sitting up in the Home and Terrace Club, literally across from us, like dead straight across from us, is where he stopped in the pits.
Yeah.
And we were so heartbroken. But then I said to somebody, when Jack was leading, I said, "Oh, this is a problem. What's Fox going to do if Harvey wins? What do we do now?"
Yeah, that'd have been a good problem to have, Will.
Yeah.
We'd have figured it out, right?
Nobody's going to complain about that one.
No. Those are the good problems. But no, it was like, it's exciting to lead the 500. We did it with Connor for the first time in 2024, and that was amazing. And, it's a pretty cool experience, I have to say. And my hats are off to Dennis and Brett and Chase Selman and all the boys.
Chase is a miracle worker.
Man, oh man, that guy. I mean, the last thing I was worried about in that entire race was the pit stop. We were just so solid every year, and I mean, literally, I could not believe it. That was the last thing that I was worried about. But that's
how is it that a lot of what we're cultivating, a lot of our audience, younger drivers, maybe kart drivers, maybe midget drivers, development series drivers. How would you counsel them, Don, as far as approaching sponsors? I mean, you get some wonderful people on board. I mean, how do you approach them? What is it that you give the sponsors that you're able to bring these folks in, and then, as you say, you take care of them, which is so critical. But how does the process go, Don?
Yeah, I think, it's a multi-part answer, but I think that the full immersion that they get is probably, when we're talking about it, we sometimes equate it to in Tom Brady's heyday, if you were to walk out on the center field with him, they flip the coin, you get to keep the coin, and then you get to be on the sideline, listening to Belichick call every single play. That's the kind of immersion they get. I mean, they're down in the pits with the headset on. They're allowed to go up into the pit box and really see everything that goes on in the garage, meet the drivers. So they get a full ownership experience, and we don't make it exceedingly expensive. I mean, I think our entry level is $45,000, which isn't cheap.
Right, it's not nothing, but it's not $45. It's not $4 million.
Right. And you get 10 of those guys, and maybe next year 5 of them come back and say, you know what, this time I'll put 100,000 in, and so we just build the relationships that way. And you know what? Sometimes they go, well, check that one off my bucket list. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We're not coming back. So to answer your question about what advice would I give to young drivers, go talk to your friends, go talk to your family, knock on doors. Don't be afraid. I mean, what you're selling is something that only 33 people get to do every. I think it's unique enough that you can tell a story, and if you're as enthusiastic as we are, I think people catch that same disease.
So I think you're 100% right in terms of experience and immersing people in that. But how do you pitch that to them if they haven't yet experienced? Because it's like you have to experience it to understand it. But if they haven't experienced it yet, how do you convey that to people?
There we go. We back?
Yep, you're good. Yep. Can you hear me? Hello? Alex, what do you got there? Good?
Can you hear us, Tom? Oh.
There we go.
Oh, all right.
We
How about now?
up a little bit there. I don't know if that was my end or what, but
yeah, little glitches once in a while. The technology, we're slaves to technology.
Yeah, boy, are we.
So again, on the experiential level, I absolutely agree. 100% agree. It's not like stick them in a box at a baseball game. It's hockey.
No.
It's a totally different thing. But if they've not experienced it yet, how do you present that to people to help them understand that this is going to be a very unique, whether you like motorsports or not, this is going to be an incredibly unique situation for you?
Yeah. We do that through video that we shoot every year. We always interview the partners. We show the partner summit. We talk to them about opportunities and people that they'll meet, and potential to do B2B stuff, and we do a lot of that. Obviously, we have case studies and materials we can show them that, hey, these guys came on. I mean, perfect example, Sierra Pacific Windows. We've sold over $2 million worth of windows for them, and they've invested about $400,000 to $500,000 in the program. So good ROI,
Yes.
But that's just because I know the builders out at the Thermal Club, and they now use Sierra Pacific products. I've done a couple of remodels. I've used their products.
Sure.
I tell friends. So case studies like that, and of course it varies from sponsor to sponsor, and for some people it doesn't work, and
right.
and we understand that as well. But now after 5 years, we've got plenty of material and really great stories to share, and so that helps too.
So there's no limit to the future. Is that fair to say for you?
I think that's very fair to say. Look, stuff like this where you expose us and give us airtime, and Marshall Pruitt's been really good to us with his articles, and honestly, Kevin Lee and the guys over in the IndyCar booth, Hinchcliffe and T-Bell, they've been really good to us too. So that all helps. I mean, it lends credibility to what we're trying to do, and we really appreciate it. I'll never miss a chance to get in front of an audience and share my enthusiasm. That's for sure.
Sure. Well, I have to admit, I was a little hesitant when I first reached out to you. Going, wow, he doesn't want to bother with it.
Oh, heck no. I appreciate the opportunity. I honestly do.
So, help me understand this. Our first 500 was 2016. We partnered with Schmidt Peterson, now Arrow McLaren.
Yeah.
We did 2017. We did 2020. No fans, just us. 2,499 of my closest friends were there. And honestly, we want to get back in. We've done the ladder series. We did some USAC midget racing. We want to get back in. It's getting harder because the seats at the table are getting less and less.
That's right.
How have you and Dennis viewed? If you feel free to talk about this, how have you and Dennis viewed the charter system and the limit of 25? I mean, at Indy, it really doesn't matter because you guys have such great prepared cars. You're going to get in.
Right.
But, what about anything beyond that? I mean, have you any consideration beyond that? How does the whole chart? I know Dennis was trying to make a case that you guys should get 2 charters. I know that case was being made. How does it stand now? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, mixed emotions. I certainly understand, how IndyCar feels about it. Obviously, they want full-time people, and they want those people to, the last thing they want is a part-time team to bump a full-time person from the race, right? That makes sense to me on that level. In the strict case of Dennis, I think, DRR has a long and storied history at Indy, and as you said, at Indy it doesn't really matter, but I do think it makes us think twice about maybe going out full time without a charter. So just so you know, it was discussed in some detail this year that maybe we would run a few select races and dip our toes in. Well, it comes down to money, and it's not cheap. You got to have $10 million to run a car.
It's always money.
Yeah, for a full season, and so that's hard to come by, right? But you're kind of damned if you do or damned if you don't. Yeah. So we were leaving it that, okay, 2027 is the new chassis. That's when we'll make our move. Well, now they say it's going to be 2028. So I'm going to be 69 next month. I don't think I want to wait a whole heck of a lot longer if we're going to do it. I mean,
Roger's 88, so you got plenty of time.
True story, but
you got plenty of time.
I want to get my 25 years in. We got to start now, right?
my dad's 87. He still works every day.
Yeah, God bless him. I know. My mom's 97. What's
your take? Let me ask you about another controversial subject because it's one that a lot of people feel strongly about, and that's the whole hybrid thing. I find it interesting that not once during once I got home from Indy, I always watched the replay on TV. Not once on the entire race replay of it was the word hybrid mentioned.
No.
You didn't see any hybrid scales. You didn't hear slow deployment, full deployment. You didn't, not once. Same thing here in Detroit. It was a completely silent subject. Pato Award, who doesn't sugarcoat for anything, was very upfront and clear and said that the hybrid was zero value at Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything? Are they really talking about possibly ditching this for the new chassis? If you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, look, I can tell you a few anecdotal stories, and I can tell you what I do know. The hybrid system is tied to an engine manufacturer that wants it. And, kind of have to have that engine manufacturer right now, right?
When you only have two. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you can probably guess. This is what I've heard. I guess it would be a semi-substantiated rumor. How's that?
Yeah. Okay.
I think there will be some changes when the new car comes out. Will the hybrid be one of them? God only knows. I mean, everything has changed in the world now in the last year and a half or so, or 130 days or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, it's definitely being talked about. I will tell you that I was standing on the pit wall and a driver came walking up through the hot pit, and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And he looked at me, and I'm just going to tell you the exact quote. He said, "This hybrid is horseshit," and he walked away.
Yeah, no, he's not the only one.
It's the general consensus in the paddock for sure. Mm-hmm. I think people are frustrated with it. It's an expensive $300,000 part that you have to put on the cars, and I mean, small team like us, one race, it's hard to amortize that, right?
Right.
And I think the overall preference probably within the paddock is who needs it.
Mm-hmm.
But
again, when
the
you
powers
only have
that
two
be,
engine manufacturers,
well, right? Guys that are a lot smarter than me know the reason why it needs to be there. Mm-hmm. And so I imagine you're going to see it for a while.
Okay. All right. Every year a different, not different, but I mean you've seen several drivers in and out of your cars over the 5 years.
Right.
When do you guys start talking about drivers for next year?
Right before I got on this call, I sent a email to Dennis and Brett and said, "You guys still bitter? You over it? You ready to start talking?" We're already lining up sponsors for next year.
Yeah.
But
well, it's heartbreaking race. I mean, you have both of your cars up front and then finish like that. It's just, gosh. I mean, it's heartbreaking.
Like anything, Will. Would we have loved to have Connor back before we signed on Jack and Ryan? Heck yeah, he drove a hell of a race. But are we rooting for him to get a full-time ride? You bet we are. And that's part of the thing I love about DRR. They're in it also for the love of the sport and the betterment of the sport. Right. And so we all cheered just as hard for Connor, really. Sure. And we're happy for him. Jack and Ryan were an absolute dream team. And, if I made those decisions, and full disclosure, I have nothing to do with those decisions, mm-hmm. But I would take Jack and Ryan back in a heartbeat. They were just a dream to work with. The partners and sponsors and everybody just loved those guys. And it was really fun. We had a good time. I mean,
Jack's got such a great personality. I mean, he's such a good guy.
His mom's wonderful. His dad's wonderful. Same with Ryan, Becca's wonderful. The kids are great. So, I mean, for me, dream scenario. If we get those guys back, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But there's so many factors. You've run this race. There's so many factors. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. You said you're already courting sponsors for next year.
Oh yeah.
And not mentioning names. Any repeat customers in that group?
Oh yeah. We'll most everybody that was there this year wants to re-sign. I think certainly invest on Jack's car. Mm-hmm. That's Scott and Laura Jarrett are just fantastic, and sponsor. Yeah, they supported Jack last year for the full season, and I think would like to do it again. But I think they'll be back. We're going to have a conversation on Friday.
Good.
I'm pretty sure the Wedbush and 101 Studio guys, they were very enthusiastic. They
got a lot of camera time.
Yeah, they got a lot of camera time. We have a little sponsorship appreciation dinner the night before the race, and they were all there, and a very positive vibe. So yeah, I think that 90% of them will be back.
Good. Good. Hey, we're almost out of time. One last thought here.
Sure.
Talk to us about Thermal. So now we've had 2 races at Thermal. The first was not a points race. This was a points race. I think this year was better than the first year. You're involved with Thermal. Are they making some more changes? Or what are we going to do about fans? And, how's that all going to work for I'm assuming you're going to come back again for next year.
Well, you know what? That's not been confirmed. And I'll tell you that, I think Thermal is a wonderful place. I'm a member there, and I love it. And our members love having IndyCar and hosting y'all. And I just don't know that it's ideal for IndyCar. The TV ratings weren't great, in part because it was up against the NCAA tournament, I think.
Yeah.
But from a fan perspective, if they're trying to grow live fans, it's not going to happen out there. 10,000 is probably the limit. But I will tell you that the 5,000 or 6,000 people that were out there had the time of their life. The access is incredible. My guess is if IndyCar gets a track in Mexico or somewhere else, they probably won't have a race at Thermal, maybe a spring training again.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not be surprised if Thermal wasn't on the schedule.
Okay. Fair enough. I don't think that'd be a shock to anybody.
No.
I think some people would miss it, certainly.
Yeah. Well, they're all invited to come out and drive with me anytime they want. So.
Okay. Right. Hey, Don, thank you so much for taking your time. And again, I so appreciate what you're doing, and I look up to you. I'd love to try to replicate what you're doing to a degree, and keep it up. Keep what you're doing. So good. Thank you for taking time to be on today. I appreciate your time and your schedule, and hopefully we'll bump into you at a track somewhere in your neighborhood or something.
Yeah, I hope so. I really appreciate all you guys do too. Thanks for putting me on, and if there's anything I can do to help, by all means, let me know.
All right.
Let's just make IndyCar better.
Amen. Thank you.
All right, guys.
Hey,
Thanks so much.
Don Cusick, everybody. Thank you so much. All right, Don. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, guys. That's it. It's a wrap for us. I hope you enjoy. That's a good show. I mean, I know I do work here, but that's a good show. I mean, I think you got some great information from Reid. I think you got a great inside look from Don, and I think we did well today, Alex. I think we did well. So listen. Do me a favor though. Whatever platform you're on, like, comment, share. But we really need you to, again, if you're a Facebook watcher, and most of our audience is on Facebook, would you please consider, at some point in time, checking us out on YouTube? Again, the station we want to point you to is called The Pits Are Open Podcast. That's the new station. And the reason for that is it's not a substation. It's a standalone station. There's a lot more we can do with it than the other one that we started out with. So if you're on the original Pits Are Open, please go over to Pits Are Open Podcast. Subscribe to that. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. We'd appreciate it. And tell your friends, relatives, associates, neighbors, have them tune in. And if you haven't already, go to the website, pitsareopen.com. Click on the top of the page and sign up for our newsletter. Do that right now. If you don't get the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. You'll enjoy it, I promise. And we will not bombard you. Once a week, that's what you get. And so great show. Thank you, Alex, as always. Fabulous. Love working with you. And have a great week. And we will see you next week on The Pits Are Open. Now the pits are closed. Bye.